Hello! Welcome to another episode of Cooking with Heather. My name is Heather Lee Cameron. I'm 29 years old and I've been doing this cooking series for a very long time. People have told me I should apply for MasterChef, and that would certainly be fun. But we'll see. Today, however, I'm going to make super cookies for you, and and all good chefs work with a recipe, even Gordon Ramsay. And so I'm going to pull up a recipe I found last night for cookies. We're going to get our bowl. We're going to get the butter from the fridge because I didn't want it to melt. We're going to give the outside of the bowl a little wipe down because it's a little dusty. We're going to because it sat in the cupboard, so it's dusty, we're going to give it a good wipe. There. Alright, so we're ready to go. 1 cup butter, and look at this, I don't have to use actual cups anymore. I have this nifty little gadget that my mommy gave me, and I think it's absolutely great. So we'll get started. We will get started for sure. 1 cup butter, softened. Well, this is as soft as butter's going to get. Then there's about a cup, so we'll just drop it in there. Rinse this out because I want to stir. Just check to make sure the camera's working. It is. Yeah, we'll rinse this out because I need all my tools. I definitely need all my tools. Because as I've said before, small kitchen space, limited tools. You definitely need every tool you can get. There, that's good. Alright, 1 cup sugar. And because of limited kitchen space, we're just going to put things away as we don't need them anymore. Because the fridge is right there, so we don't have to worry about that. And see, that's nifty, isn't it? Alright. Give this a bit of a dry. We'll dabble that down to 1 cup. There we go. Look at how fascinating this is, and all we have to do is just pour it in. You can do this with your fingers or a spoon, it doesn't matter, but if you're cooking for yourself, it doesn't really matter what you use. Alright. Goes in. We rinse this out so we can use it again. And you know, this thing is nifty. I'm so glad my mom is an angel, my mom is a queen. I'm so glad she got this for me. Or she gave this to me. This is one of her Pampered Chef things. So, and those are honestly very expensive. So honestly, I'm glad I got this one for basically free. So, alright, an egg. And as I've said before, we use cups. And we crack it on the counter, we open it, and we dump it in the cup. We check for shells, there aren't any shells, and then we pour it in. And then we throw the yolk away and wash our hands because eggs, you know, they're disgusting and they can cause a lot of cross-contamination. Alright, 2 teaspoons baking powder. And this recipe is for a very easy cookie dough. And sometimes when you want to level it out, use the lid of the baking powder. There you go. And then we rinse the spoon just to make sure everything's nice and clean in case we need it again. We set this out of the way. Alright, and you know what? We can preheat the oven at this stage. I should have done it at the beginning, but everything, you know what? Nobody's perfect, so don't bug me about it. Okay, so 1 teaspoon vanilla. 1 teaspoon. Look at my beautiful little measuring spoons. Aren't they cute? And word of advice. Do this over the sink in case you spill. Because then you're not getting your counter dirty, because vanilla is really hard to clean out of the counter. Right, we'll just check the... It's so... Like when you're doing a basic recipe, get the basics down first and then add your special things in. Don't mess around with things that you don't understand. Alright, 2 3/4 of a cup of flour. So probably about that. And I still have flour left over from my last baking, so again, maybe do this over the sink. Just because it can be very messy. Whoop. And you can sometimes pour too much and you don't want it all over the counter because flour is insanely messy to clean up. Flour is very messy to clean up and you don't want to screw around with it. Here we go. There, that's sound better. We'll just make a quick work of the sink. Oh dear. Oh. Just be careful. When you get flour in the sink, wipe it out right away. Well, we don't need this anymore anyway, so we can just let it sit. Because flour can make an insane mess. So when you use flour in cooking, clean it up right away. Because honestly, it can make an insane mess, and that's just not even fun. Alright. We're gonna mix it. We'll use my favorite mixing spoon, a white spoon. And you know what? People ask, why don't you have an electric mixer? You know what? Those buggers are expensive, and if you need to, you know what? It's perfectly okay to add a touch of water to make the mixture easier to work with. Basically mix it up. Now you have a dough. Now you need your chips. But besides chips, we're going to use some interesting things today. We're going to use some Goldfish cookie grams that are vanilla cupcake flavor. Just because I like to get creative with my cookies. We're going to pour a bunch in there, not too many. Because we still got to add our chips and some M&Ms and stuff. And you know what? It's okay to add a dab of flour if it's too runny. So we're going to do that. Just a bit. Not too much. Because you have to be very careful about when you're all right. Now we've got some cool M&Ms that we're going to add. Again, not too many. Well, all right. Well, that's not so bad. Like they're the peanutty M&Ms, so don't do this if you're allergic to peanuts. All right. Then we're going to add some Reese peanut butter chips. We'll add all of them simply because, I mean, it calls for a cup, right? So, and I want to use these up, otherwise I'm going to eat them, and that's probably not a good idea. And you know what? Just for flavor's sake, we're going to add a little bit of this baking cocoa powder just to see if we can get them to turn chocolate. Now these are just all little additions. These are, of course, super cookies, and I don't make a lot of cookies, so just bear with me. Oh my goodness, yum. Look at that. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, we've added all our ingredients. Touch more flour just to make it a bit. You know what? A hand mixer is expensive, so I mix it by hand. And it's also good to mix by hand sometimes to build up your upper body strength, because this does take a lot of work. Let's taste the cookie dough. Alright, we need to scrape. I need to scrape the spoon. Now you can lick the spoon if you're absolutely done using it, but we're not, so we're just gonna scrape it, and now we're gonna grease our sheet. If you have limited towels and stuff, if you don't have paper towel, like use a washcloth and then wash it. You don't need a ton of butter or margarine, just a little bit. There we go. And this is a very different recipe than most. So, what we're gonna do is use a spoon. I'm gonna use a slightly bigger spoon than that. To drop little spittles of cookies. Don't want them too big, otherwise they won't cook, but we want to round them out. Curious as to how these will turn out. Just very curious as to how these will turn out. They're called super cookies for a reason, because they are super chock full of stuff. There we go. Set that aside because the cookie sheet is full. And I don't have another one. Okay, so 6 to 7 minutes, but I don't know how long it'll take for real because this oven's old. I'll see you when they're ready to come out of the oven. But in the meantime, we'll have a look at those yummies. Hi again, it's Heather Lee Cameron. So it looks like the things are done. The super cookies, so we're gonna check them. Sadly, I do not have oven mitts. I didn't have a lot of stuff when I moved in here, but you don't technically need them. You just need a good towel so you don't burn the crap out of your hands. Ooh, look at those. Ooh, yummy. Let's have a look at if they're done. Again, you're supposed to use a toothpick, but I don't have that. You know what? They need a little more time. Couple more minutes, I think. Actually, no. They're done. They are done. Wow. The super cookies turned out. You're as surprised as I am. Because honestly, I have never made super cookies. So let's pop one off. Let's pop one off the tray. Yay! Look at that! I just like to say that I believe cooking is an art and a science. It's an art in that you have to love being creative and you have to love what you do. And that the sky's the limit when it comes to the art of cooking. But it's also a science that you also have to have a practicality when it comes to cooking. And honestly, you have to do things in a precise way with certain ingredients, otherwise it turns out like crap. But I don't think that turned out like crap at all. I'm so happy. These little guys are gonna cool. Oh my goodness. These super cookies turned out really good. And you know, I didn't know if dyeing them with baking cocoa was gonna wreck them, and infusing them with every chocolate thing under the sun was gonna kill them. But you know, sometimes you get very lucky with experiments. You've got to be unafraid to try new things when it comes to cooking, because simply put, life is too short to be afraid. And I'm not afraid to cook, I'm not afraid to try, I'm not afraid to learn from my mistakes. Each cooking show I do is an experiment in itself. Each time I cook is an experiment in itself. I love to be creative. I love the opportunity to make something new out of something simple. Out of simple things can come great miracles, and these cookies are great miracles. Honestly, I'm so happy to cook for you, and please enjoy these cookies. If you feel like you want to try making them, do so, and just be careful. I'm not sure what I'll use the rest of the dough for, probably to make more cookies. But this is Cooking with Heather, signing off. And as we sign off, we're going to get a nice view of these super cookies. We're going to pick it up even though it's hot. Look at that, perfectly done. amazing super cookies. This is Cooking with Heather. Bon appetit.